I'm live. I'm live. How you doing today? Cecily here, Operation Fibroid Freedom. It started out kind of rainy, and now the sun is out. It's drying up the water. So I'm gonna have to get out there in that sunlight today. But before I do, I wanted to come on here and answer some questions. This is one of my passions. So, of course, I saw that one of my lovely subscribers sent me a question, and I thought I should just hop on here and answer her. And if you're on here, Isha J, let me know because I'm live and I'm going to answer your question that you posted in the comments. I think it was maybe about 30 minutes ago. And then I also have a question that I'm going to answer from another subscriber on foods to avoid. And I can't find her name off the top because I don't know how to do that this quickly. But I need to find her name so that I can mention her by name. But this is a quick live stream of me showing up and holding space for my subscribers as well as for any other goddesses who are suffering from uterine fibroids like I once did. And you have questions and I remember how it was when I had fibroids and there really was no information in comparison to what there is now. There was nothing like that. There was no platform like my platform, which is why I created Operation Fibroid Freedom. And then there's a lot of other people that are also coaching women on shrinking fibroids naturally. It wasn't like that when I had fibroids, and it wasn't that long ago. It was 2012. I became fibroid free in 2014. I actually shrunk the fibroids. One of them actually fell out. It was attached to an artery, and it fell out, and I literally had to get it cut off with a scalpel in outpatient surgery. But it fell out, and I see that there's someone else that has a question. I will add you in to the third question that I'll answer, since these are subscriber questions that I'm answering, and I'm encouraging you to subscribe as well, so that I can bring more information to you. Matter of fact, before I even say that, let me make sure I can find your question, because I don't see it here now. Let's see, super chat. There it is. Karen George wants to know, can your fibroid shrink with menopause and won't come back? I'll go over that. I'm going to get started though. Karen, please subscribe to the channel, and I'll go into that a little bit, and I'll go into it more in the future. That's what this is for, to bring timely information and also create dialogue, so we have a place where we can go where y'all feel like you can talk to somebody that has been in your shoes and that came out of the forest that is uterine fibroids, and having to be told you have to have surgery, and successfully coming out of that and navigating out of that through the darkness and becoming fibroid free. I'm your girl, okay? So the first question is from Isha J. Let's see if I can find it, because I think I just lost the darn question. You gotta be kidding me. Anybody else have any questions while I'm looking for this question? Let me know. Okay. Let's see. View reply. Read more. Okay. Isha J says, hi, goddess. You beautifully articulated what has been felt in my soul for a while. I just couldn't put it into words. I rarely ever watch 30+ minute videos. You're so kind. But watching your videos makes it feel like time speeds up because I'm so engaged and feel so empowered. Thank you. Thank you so much. I would like to know what you think of castor oil packs and if you believe they are effective in reducing the fibroids along with changes made to our diet and managing stress. All right, so I'm going to stop there and answer this one. Castor oil packs. Do I believe they're effective? The answer is yes. Do I believe, okay, it says along with the changes made to diet and managing stress. Definitely, and I'm glad that you framed it that way, Isha J, because it's important for us to take into account and be mindful that all of these holistic measures, protocols, herbs, the self-care, the meditation, all go hand in hand with our diet, with whether we're exercising, with our own true outlook and true belief that natural fibroid elimination is available to us. All of these things are connected. So it's important to say, yes, I'm saying castor oil packs are worth giving a shot. They do have relevance, and they will infuse nutrients that your womb has been missing and that your body has been missing through utilizing castor oil packs on your abdomen and on your womb. But are they the end all be all? Does that mean that's all we have to do? Does that mean that we get obsessed with castor oil packs and where we continue eating the wrong things, or where we don't give any sort of a outlook to any other natural modalities and methods to correct fibroids? No. Castor oil packs will be one part of a holistic therapy that you use along with these other pillars of natural fibroid elimination, like making sure your liver is detoxed regularly, making sure that you're eating plant-based at least 75, if not 100% of the time, making sure that you guard your thoughts and protect your thoughts and what you're thinking about yourself, as including what you're watching, making sure you're not watching or giving too much of your energy to low vibration situations, or low vibrational love relationships, or low vibrational friendships. You have to really guard your person and your body like it's a temple, and anything that you are being exposed to, you have to audit. You have to kind of put a safeguard or a bodyguard in front of everything that you can take in through all the five senses. And arguably, your sixth senses, sixth and seventh senses as well, because that's another part of our true selves. We have this physical flesh self that I talk about a lot, but then I also talk about the emotional body, the spiritual body. There's different degrees and realms of existence that we're all experiencing. So it's important, and I'm only saying that because there's even a closer, deeper, more insidious toxic exposure through music that a lot of people don't talk about. So like if you're talking about, like, because I love hip hop, so I love all kinds of music, and I'm a musician, but hip hop is one of I was raised on jazz, but I grew up in the hip hop era, so I know about good hip hop music, but I also know that sometimes that's not the best thing to listen to, because music is a powerful it's a powerful tool to affect your vibration. Okay, so we could be listening to something that could be lowering our vibration or lowering the rate at which we are able to manifest desired outcomes in our lives. It's actually causing imbalance. If you know anything about vibration, as far as like that we're made up of 70% water, and how you can play music or you can put emotions out and look at water molecules under the microscope. And if they are negative emotions, if they're chaotic emotions or things that are not of good origin, the water molecules look really crazy and in disarray, and that type of thing, if we're made up of water, is going on in the body. So yes, to make a long story short, I'm gonna take it back to the castor oil pack, because all there. What you're going to want to do is use castor oil packs and also be looking at other natural modalities and means to heal your body, to pair it up. Because the goal is to have so many wonderful, healthy, new lifestyle habits and changes that are not just something that you're doing once in a blue moon. Like, we're literally talking about making, when you're talking about shrinking fibroids naturally, which is what I went through, I'm telling you from personal experience. You're talking in terms of what new lifestyle changes do I personally need to make that are permanent, that are going to add up and make a solid foundation of bricks. Each change, each lifestyle healing modality change that you add in is a brick that's going to add up to a solid foundation that's going to lead you down the path, the road to natural fibroid elimination and ultimately fibroid freedom. And that's what I knew intuitively. And that's kind of what I stood on, even though I didn't have any proof back then. And I was told the fibroids that I had were too big to shrink. I knew in my heart of hearts that God wouldn't have given me that inner inner guidance and inner leaning and that kind of intuitive nudge to know that you can shrink them. Don't listen to what this doctor is saying. Even though you don't have proof, just have the faith and take the action. So you take the action with these castor oil packs, and then you find other bricks that you can add into your regimen. Okay. Now, her next question, let me know if you have any questions about that, if there's something that was unclear, by the way. It says as well, okay, so do you think PCOS, endometriosis, IBS, irritable bowel syndrome, and fibroids are all connected? Okay, so here we go with this. Yes, they are, because she said basically she's displaying all the symptoms just to give you context. So in that context, they are all connected, Isha J, because they're all happening and occurring in your body. So that's a signal from your body that all of these dominoes are falling. They're all symptoms of something happening within the same person. So yes, they're all connected. Now, just in general, if I'm talking IBS, just because I'm talking about a woman with IBS, that doesn't mean that she's going to also have fibroids. But in your case, whatever is out of balance, because we're all different. So somebody else's out of balance may look like fibroids and PCOS. And then your out of balance may look like you mentioned, PCOS, endometriosis, IBS, and fibroids. But we're all different. So with you, they are all connected because they're all happening in your body. And I'm giving you props for understanding and overstanding that even though the doctors are kind of trying to treat them, compartmentalize each ailment, your intuitive compass and your inner self and higher self is communicating to you to pull back the lens of the microscope and look at yourself as a whole pie, and to look at all of those things as being connected and how you move to make a healing or a holistic protocol for yourself as a whole. So yes, they're all connected for you, and you can get rid of all of them. And it's important that you look at them holistically as opposed to separately, because I think if you start trying to separate each one, you're going to be spreading yourself too thin. And really, for example, let's look at PCOS, endometriosis, and fibroids. Something that they all have in common, we know, is hormonal imbalance. With fibroids and endometriosis, estrogen. Even PCOS is estrogen, but it's a little different. But that's something that is common as far as one of the hormones that is out of balance with each of those ailments. With the IBS, it has to do with other things like stress, and toxins. But we start looking at whether you're regular, which also kind of is an umbrella that houses all of those things that you just mentioned. But intuitively, it's important for you, for your healing journey specifically, like you asked in this question, to realize for you to get the healing that you need, for you to shrink fibroids, as well as get rid of IBS, PCOS, endometriosis, you need to pull back the lens and look at the holistic picture of yourself and your health as a whole. And that's actually something that I offer. I'm a herbalist, if you don't know. And so an example of how you could do that, and it's just one example, of course, addressing all these things would take an in-depth question and answer personally. But what I would do and what I would suggest is, especially for the estrogen. Well, we know estrogen is expelled through the liver functioning properly. The liver, which is the workhorse of the body, has to have the support in order to get out all of the toxins, estrogen being one of them that is in overabundance. There's too much of it in the body when you're talking about fibroids, when you're talking about endometriosis, and other hormones are going to be out of balance if there's too much of one hormone. So your liver's going to need the support, obviously, because if the liver had the support it needed, you wouldn't have any issues getting out all the excess estrogen. So that's one thing that you would look at, and one way to pull back the lens and address multiple symptoms, occurrences of these illnesses at once for you, Isha J, would be to support your liver. Don't get caught up in all of the different symptoms, know that they're all connected in your body because we're our own walking universes, right? Think of yourself as your own universe, right? So, and think of it as a pie, right? A pie has, let's say, 8 beautiful slices, ideally. And when we start talking about infirmity and sickness and disease, we can say, well, fibroids would be an example of a slice missing. You know, PCOS could be an example of a slice that has had a piece ripped out of it. IBS is a example of a slice that's been broken. The pie is missing some pieces. So our goal is to get the pie back to being complete and whole with all slices intact, nothing missing and nothing broken. So the best way to do that when you have multiple symptoms is to pull back that lens and look at the underlying similar causes that address all or multiple ailments that you're experiencing. So in this case, I would say liver support, liver support, liver support. You're going to address the PCOS, endometriosis, and fibroids directly, starting with that. And even detoxing the liver, making sure your liver has what it needs to get out all the toxins, excess estrogen on a regular basis, as well as supporting and nourishing the liver. And that protocol we're going to start doing for each of those ailments. But you start with one that addresses many, and they are all connected in you. And in some ways, according to the different glands and hormones that each of those ailments have in common, they are related. To make a long story short, let me know if you have any more questions about that. Because she says the Western medicine has a tendency to separate very interconnected symptoms into separate diseases, illnesses, even though they're all related. New K put a question mark. What is your question, New K? I don't know if you came on late, but I'm answering frequently asked questions from subscribers. So let me know what your question is in regards to what I just said, because I'm answering a question from someone. So if you have a question, feel free to type it in the comments. Okay, so the next question by Isha J was, well, she just says she thinks fibroids can be healed, so can PCOS and endometriosis, as well as other hormonal imbalances and malabsorption issues. And yeah, I totally support you and hold space for you in the fact that they can be healed, especially and even in times when people are saying that they cannot be healed. I mean, that was my story. And if I can heal fibroids after being told that I had to have surgery, that there was no other way, that the ones I had were too big to shrink. And I even went through the situation where they got big and I shrunk them down within 2 weeks so I could move normally again. And that even kind of gave me more motivation to stick with the natural protocol. You certainly can definitely heal your body. And if you have it intuitively, which it seems like you already do in your question, that's a sign from the creator to you that is a reality. You just have to figure out a way to connect that and manifest that into your physical reality. And it starts with what you're putting into your body every day through your diet. And then the regular habits, like, are we going to the bathroom regularly? Are you having regular bowel movements? Are you hydrated? Are we exercising? And then we start looking at, again, what type of a protocol do we have in place for the main areas? Liver support and detoxing. And then we can go into even more specific herbs, iron, that kind of thing. If you have any questions, let me know. Now, the next question is from another goddess that asked me what foods we should be avoiding. I wish I could find your name, but I don't know how to get to that this quickly. She said, are there foods to avoid? She left this question about a week ago on the juice recipe video. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and answer because I don't know where to find it. Let's see. Yeah, no. Okay, yeah, her name is Lil S. Were there foods you avoided too? And yes, there were. I avoided fast foods, anything fast and anything processed. So anything that you would consider a food of convenience. So automatically, the main publicly traded, I don't want to list their names, but you know where you can go get a fast food meal deal from, you want to avoid all of those things, because usually the more convenient the foods are, the less cooking, the less preparation it requires from your own hands, the more toxins, the more preservatives, the more things they're going to have in them that feed uterine fibroids. So specifically, hamburgers, French fries, pizza. You want to avoid things like dairy. Dairy will cause inflammation and create mucus. Mucus is also something that, material wise, is able to be constructed into fibroids. So you would ideally think Dr. Sebi. I don't know if you're familiar with Dr. Sebi, but you should eat mucusless. Eat a plant-based diet, avoid meats, avoid dairy, avoid starches and breads, sugars, especially refined sugars, things that are going to cause spikes in the blood sugar, because the spikes in the blood sugar are going to throw off your hormones even further. And if one hormone, like we mentioned with estrogen, is out of balance, the other hormones that are also created in your body's glands are going to be out of balance as well. So that's kind of in a nutshell, just a quick disclaimer. I'm working on an actual edited video for you, but I do have other videos already up with the types of foods that you should be eating. Some of them I've mentioned, like dark leafy greens. You want to eat living foods, foods that are plant-based, foods that you actually are cooking yourself, if you have to cook them at all. They're going to have the less processing, the least amount of processing and preservatives, and more vitamins and minerals that you're going to take in that will shrink uterine fibroids. Those are what I ate. I ate a lot of smoothies. I had a lot of green juice, which you'll see me making lots of green juice recipes on this channel. You want to eat a lot of chlorophyll. Chlorophyll will go into your body and cleanse your cells. It will also add vitality to your cells. So you're coating your cells and your body with new information and new stimuli that is totally and completely different and new and unconventional from what you had that fed fibroids. And just think in terms of Isha. She says, thank you so much for the in-depth response to my questions. I'm also curious to know, gosh, I don't know. I'm also curious to know your opinion about CTM, which explains that cold foods such as juicing cause stagnation in the womb. I totally disagree with that. I don't know what CTM stands for, though. But I'm a juicer. Oh, Chinese tradition. I actually practiced some of that when I had fibroids, and I still do. Now, I do kind of know what you're getting at in terms of, I used to be told a lot when I first started doing acupuncture that I needed to eat cold foods. I had a lot of hot heat in my body. But to say cold foods cause stagnation, cut and dry, see, what you're going to have to do is pair up and connect dots and make your own personalized natural fibroid elimination healing map for yourself. Because I was told I needed to eat cold foods because I had a lot of hot spots in my body. I grew up with eczema, which is a sign of heat in the body. But then I also had fibroids, and they say fibroids is like stagnation, right? But you know that if it's a plant, you can't say, well, I can't eat this plant because it's a cold food, because it's a plant. By nature, it comes from God, it comes from the creator, it comes from source. Anything from the earth is designed to help you. So if you are eliminating everything that is processed that could cause stagnation, and you only took in plants, that plant being a cold food would be thrown out the window, because you're so over saturated with good enzymes, vitamins, and minerals from live living plants. And that's kind of the philosophy that I had to intuitively adopt for myself, because I did see a lot of misinformation, or just conflicting information, I'll say, in terms of what foods to eat when we're talking about plants and estrogens and phytoestrogens. And sometimes you can get kind of confused with what you see, and I totally can understand why you would ask that question. But if it's a plant and you are substituting more plants in where before you would have eaten white starchy potatoes, which I think is also a cold food. I have to go back over my list and my notes for this. You know you're already doing 10 times better than you were doing just by substituting a living plant-based food. Does that answer your question a little bit with what I said? Because the truth of the matter with natural wellness, holistic wellness, and manifesting wellness and restoration in your womb and in your body, you cannot go wrong with juicing. Point blank, period, full stop. Juicing is serious. Juicing is like life when it comes to shrinking fibroids naturally. Okay? I can't overestimate how much juicing is your friend. And what is juicing? When you start to really just simply answer what juicing is for yourself, you're just taking in raw plant enzymes, vitamins, and minerals. Plant juice literally will go in. You're gonna start to cut off the food supply to fibroids just by juicing plants on a regular basis. The fibroids, see, they're feeding off of hormonal imbalance. So the more we're doing things and taking in things that are supporting too much cortisol, too much estrogen, that's what's making the fibroid go big and fat. That's like a ideal, cozy, comfortable environment. Once you start getting these juices into your body on a regular basis, daily, the hormones are going to start balancing. The inflammation is going to start running out of your body. You know, the acidity levels are going to start becoming more alkaline. See, and that's the other thing. You can shift so many lenses. I just mentioned acidity. I just mentioned inflammation. I just mentioned the perspective of hormones. You have to be able to, and you mentioned the traditional Chinese medicine. You have to be able to go in and out of each of these lenses for how to address a fibroid elimination action plan for yourself and use it to connect the dots to make a plan for you that's going to get results. But if you're eating plant-based and juicing, you cannot go wrong. You can't. Sometimes another example with that, I know sometimes goddesses will message me about certain plants and they'll say things like, well, you know, this plant is estrogenic, so I don't eat it. But my whole argument with that is if it's a plant and it's estrogenic and you substituted or you got rid of whatever meats or whatever breads or whatever non-plant-based items you were eating that were causing estrogen dominance, and you substitute it with all plants, whether the plant is estrogenic or not, it's still going to trump what you were eating before and contribute to balancing those hormones. Because you're taking in nothing but nutrition, you're nourishing. So the benefits from plants are multiple because you get all the nutrients, you get to nourish, you get the oxygen, which is going to cause movement in the body and expel the toxins and expel the waste from your colon as well as your cells, you know. So there's multiple benefits to plants. So I don't want you to get caught up or confused on one lens, the perspective or the context of looking at a certain plant or plants from one lens. So if they say, well, okay, this type of a plant is cold, I shouldn't eat it, I wouldn't be so quick to do that. And matter of fact, I would even ask you specifically what plant or plants you're talking about. And then we can look further and say, okay, let's identify these. And if it's, I don't know, I'm trying to think of a plant now that I know, flaxseed, which I actually did supplement with early on when I had fibroids a lot. And I still do flax seeds in my smoothies from time to time because they have, again, multiple properties that are healing to the body, as specifically to fibroids. But flaxseed is one of those plants that you're going to hear conflicting information about that they say is estrogenic. Again, it's better than eating meats, breads, starches. If you switched to a full plant-based diet and you took in some flax seeds, I guarantee you your body's still going to do way better at shrinking fibroids than it did if you ate something else like non-plant-based that was estrogenic. Isha J, you are so kind. Thank you, goddess. Thank you. Wow. Thank you so much for that. So what was I going to tell you about? And then this is the other cool thing about these estrogenic, supposed estrogenic plants. They actually have a good job that they do because they hide space on your estrogen receptors in the body where a stronger form of estrogen would have attached and gave a direct line of food to the fibroids. If you take in a plant-based or a phytoestrogen, which a lot of plants have phytoestrogens in them, a lot of plants have estrogen levels, in them. You can't get rid of that. But if you take in some of these plants that are controversial and you're not eating any meats or anything except plant-based foods, they are covering your receptors. And then if you ate a non-plant-based food that is highly estrogenic, that type of a food cannot attach and feed the fibroids because the weaker form of plant-based estrogen is covering the receptor. So the plant estrogens are actually our friends if we're eating a higher plant-based diet or 100% plant-based. So that's something to think about. And that's something I had to learn. And I learned that. See, I think I had a kind of a blessing and a curse in the symptoms I was experiencing, because when I would eat the wrong thing, I would have immediate heavy bleeding or an immediate response to where I knew, oh, that wasn't a good thing to eat. So I got kind of a quick answer to where I started to learn, oh, I just had flax seeds, but I'm not having a bleeding spell, but they say this is estrogenic. But for me, I was eating the right ratio of plants. I was eating plant-based enough to where that little bit of estrogen was not feeding the fibroids, as well as doing other things and nourishing my womb, supporting my liver being cleansed and detoxed regularly, as well as nourishing the liver and the other symptoms in the body, to where it all added up to cutting off the food supply to fibroids. I hope that helps you, because I will go on and on and on, because this is my passion. Now, I have another question to answer. Isha had something else to say, and then I know I had another question from a goddess that typed in the chat earlier. Let me see where that question is. I can't see it. Is this it? What are the list of foods I can eat to replace carbs? I feel like, okay, New K, I just saw that you typed that question. I didn't see the other question. There was another question that somebody else typed that I cannot see. So you know what I'm going to do? Because I'm on the internet right here. I'm going to see if I can go to my channel like I'm watching myself, because I don't want to leave anybody out. Let's see. And then I'll get back to, I don't know. Live now. Haha, I think I figured it out. Let me mute my mic and let's go find the question. Let's see. Because I did tell a goddess. Here we are. Okay. Karen George. Sorry for the delay. Can your fibroids shrink with menopause and won't come back? Yes, the fibroids do shrink with menopause, is what I have learned. I personally am not at that stage, but my mother told me, she's had 3 daughters, that she actually, I didn't learn that she had dealt with fibroids because she actually forgot about it, because it happened after she was done having children and when she was older. But she did say she dealt with a fibroid, and then she went into menopause and it just disappeared. And if you look up and you do any research, it does say if women have fibroids and they're kind of older, they don't really recommend surgery if they're not really bothering them, because they do start to shrink. Just because the hormones start to level out as well as change as they move into their older years. So yes, they can shrink, and they probably won't come back because the hormones are changing and you're changing into, if you're speaking about yourself, a new state where those hormones are no longer part of your reality, in terms of you're not in your childbearing years. So that energy is not making itself available in your body in that way. But you can make sure they don't come back by making sure you give your body and your womb the things that it needs. But if they are shrinking because of age, and no longer having a cycle, they're not going to come back. But just to ensure that they don't, I would suggest eating plant-based all or 75% of the time. I would suggest making sure you get womb nourishing herbs in and doing practices for self-care, as well as returning and getting closer to nature, you know, taking spiritual baths, juicing, uh, um, herbs, supplements. I think, you know, the older goddesses see a lot of benefit from the mugworts, the herbs like mugwort and motherwort, as well as vaginal yoni steams. You know, these are types of things that we could be doing when we are in our childbearing years, when we're still fertile and we're still, you know, getting a cycle. Even though you're not seeing a manifestation of blood, you still have a womb. Even if we've had things like the removal of the uterus, it's still important to give attention in the terms of self-care and herbs, and just mind to womb connection to that area of our bodies, because we have to remember that we have physical as well as spiritual, non-physical aspects of self. So when goddesses that are gone through menopause and even have had their uteruses removed, they still have a spiritual uterus that has to be, that energy is still there. That energy, and a lot of goddesses, if they've had trauma, I do womb Reiki and womb energy healing, just so you know. So that's an area that you would still have to address and kind of check and see if there's imbalances or anything being communicated energetically from that area in the spirit body that needs to be addressed with herbs or with actual physical types of therapy to bring back balance. But yes, you want to make sure you are giving attention to yourself, in terms of self-love, self-care, and support. Even if you've gone through menopause, even if the fibroids shrink, you want to always be nourishing your womb mentally, physically, and spiritually, and your body to make sure that you have what you need so imbalance doesn't develop and they won't return. And that's actually for goddesses that do shrink fibroids naturally. There's no need to live in fear. Like, well, what if they come back? Which that's something that I've dealt with in the past, with doctors who are misinformed. You know, when I told them about my story of shrinking fibroids, you know, one has tried to, in the past, say something about them returning. And I'm like, well, if you're doing what you need to nourish the body that would have prevented them from developing, obviously, if you shrink the fibroids because you're doing things right, they're not going to return if you keep doing those things. So you better believe I'm still juicing every day, taking my smoothies in every day that are filled with superfoods. You know, I've just now announced that I make my herbs, which I also sell. I'm making sea moss, which I also sell in my Etsy shop. I mention a lot about meditation and self-care and that type of thing. These are all these things that you do to ensure that fibroids are never a factor and they're off your radar. And that includes other ailments as well, because your body's just looking for nourishment, right? All these signs, all these things that we're mentioning with ailments are just a sign of imbalance. They're just signals that something is out of balance and your body needs support in some way. You just have to figure out what that support is and deliver it. And deliver it on a regular basis, rinse and repeat. That's really it. And yes, it takes work, but that's really what we need to be doing. All right, and now I had another question, and that was, it was New K says, what are the list of foods I can eat to replace carbs? Girlfriend, I think we need to talk a little bit more in depth about this, but if you're thinking just in terms of carbs, like for example, if you're a rice eater, what types of carbs do you mean if you're still on here? Are you a rice eater? Because I would say you're looking for something like similar to rice that is safe and won't feed fibroids. It would be quinoa. That would be a suggestion as a substitution. I eat quinoa all the time. It's higher protein containing ancient grain. It's got a high energy yield. The body translates that into raw, pure energy. It doesn't spike your blood sugar, so it won't cause the other hormones to be out of balance. And it won't feed the fibroid because it's not starchy. It doesn't get translated into starch when the body processes it. So I would definitely say quinoa. There are others. I haven't cooked with them as much. I'm actually about to start experimenting with amaranth grains, which I know for a fact that I've seen a lot of people use amaranth grains in terms of like a cream of wheat or like grits. But you can also use amaranth flour. You could look up Dr. Sebi's alkaline vegan food list and eat any type of a starchy meal or starchy recipe from that, like flatbreads. I know a lot of people use chickpea flour. Get the Dr. Sebi food list. You can find it on Pinterest, on Facebook. Look up what people are using for starch from that list. And also, I know with me, with starchy, it's, I love potatoes, first of all. So rice is not really a thing for me to be tempted by. And if I ever make stir fry or something, then I'll just stir fry quinoa instead of rice. But as far as potatoes, I don't know if I really have a substitution for you for potatoes. But I know that the people on the Dr. Sebi, I do actually have a substitution for potatoes. It's not a potato though, it's the chickpea. Chickpeas are like mini potatoes. So that's like when I need starch and I need something that I feel satiated and full, I'm going for chickpeas. And I'm going to cook them, like saute them. I'll bake them with some paprika, black pepper, garlic powder, or fresh garlic. I will make them into hummus. I'll smash them and make like chickpea tuna. No tuna, of course. It's just like chickpeas, avocados, garlic powder, paprika, salt, Himalayan pink salt, those types of things. Those are a few examples. If you have any specific foods that you're looking for substitutions on for your carbs, let me know. Now, pasta, Nuke, I would say look for pastas that are made from chickpeas. They have a lot of good pastas now that are made from things that are not going to cause the insulin spikes. So I just bought some. I bought chickpea pasta. There's black bean pasta. There's pastas made from adzuki beans, which have a really high energy yield in terms of your vibration. I hope that helps. Let me know if it does. And another trick for UK is to feel full and to feel satisfied and be able to stick to eating plant-based. Avocados are great. Avocados are your best friend. I know with me, again, I like things like potatoes to make me feel full and like satisfied. But once I went vegan, because I was having bleeding so bad, if I would eat something that was not right, I had to stick to it. A couple of days I didn't know how to eat properly. So I would have little bouts of getting weak, and feeling like hypoglycemic sometimes. But once I realized how much fiber there is in avocado, as well as the texture and the consistency, the good fats in avocado, and the nutrients in avocado, just as far as fertility boosting goes. The avocado, I cannot underestimate how much you can and you should think about including that. You can even take avocado and blend it up into some of your smoothies, Nuke. So I definitely recommend that because it does definitely do the trick for making me feel full and satisfied. So I'll put avocado in my little meal, even if it's hot. I'll put some avocado on the side if it's plant-based to make sure I'm able to move forward and not mess up and eat the wrong thing because I'm feeling hungry and like lightheaded later. So I hope that helped you. I'll work on a little list of foods too, if that'll help you too. Nuke, let me know. Now, I'm going back to my girl Isha J because she had another comment and I didn't read the last comment. She said, thank you. It can get so overwhelming to hear so many different opinions and perspectives. I know, goddess. But I really resonate with you. Thank you so much. I do feel at my highest vibration when I'm juicing and having green smoothies. Yes, 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 yes. I don't know if y'all know, did you know that I just had in my Facebook group, the Womb Hang Clan Facebook group, we just did a 10-day juice cleanse. We ate plant-based and juice for 10 days. It was very simple. It was very kind of just like a level 1. So with this, I just invited goddesses who wanted to come in and juice with me for 10 days and just kind of share your experiences. But it was so rewarding. I mean, if I can't express how many compliments I got on my skin. And how many goddesses by the end of the challenge that were in the group were saying that they are not going to go back now to not juicing, because a few goddesses hadn't really juiced until then, and they noticed the difference in their skin, the vitality and the energy they had. And we even kind of had a little contests each day to like juice things you would have never juiced before. And a lot of goddesses, it really helped them to see more than just the benefits with their cycles, with their periods. A lot of them experienced feeling internally that the fibroids were not being as problematic. But they also noticed just the glowing. And whatever we're seeing on the outside is just a small manifestation of what's happening on the inside with our organs and in our cells at the cellular level. Not to mention when you're talking in terms of manifesting, in terms of meditating and your prayer and supporting the part of you connecting to the ethers, to the creator, to manifest the miraculous. That's all part of it. Juicing in plants is you connecting to source in another form. It's also raising your vibration, and that's only going to help make your ability to manifest and see those prayers come to life and work these miracles even more effective. Okay, so that is kind of what I wanted to talk about today, and I love doing this. I want to thank y'all for making sure I don't have any more questions, kicking it with me. Does anybody have any more questions before I hop off? Or do you have any more topics that you would like me to discuss on another live? And maybe I'll come back and do that in the next day or so. Any questions? How's everybody feeling? Is everybody feeling, what's your outlook with the state of events globally? Anybody still feeling crazy and out of balance? Or do you feel like things are kind of starting to normalize? Or y'all let me know. I'll give it a couple seconds. Isha J, did I answer all your questions? All right, while I'm waiting to see if anybody has any other questions, these are the ways, if you're interested, that you can connect with me further, because I get these questions daily. And I don't know if y'all know that I do 90-day fibroid elimination coaching. I have a 90-day program actually going on year-round right now, where I work with goddesses one-on-one. If you're interested in that, and I walk you through setting up your own natural fibroid elimination attack plan. So that would involve us talking once a week. And of course, I would be listening to you and your lifestyle, as well as the symptoms that you are experiencing and the fibroids that you are currently dealing with. And then based on my knowledge with personally shrinking fibroids and becoming naturally fibroid free, I put together a plan each week, step by step, to help you set up your own natural fibroid elimination regimen to heal. If you're interested in that, fibroidfreedom@gmail.com. Send me a message. Another way that you can work with me is I do have a course available. It's called the Fibroid Freedom Toolkit, Herbs and Supplements to Shrink Fibroids Naturally. Now that's a self-study course. It's available anytime. I do have a $50 promo code that I am giving to goddesses who are interested. If you want the $50 off and you're interested in taking the course, send me a message or drop that in the comments and I will send you the promo code. But basically in the course, it's basically a online guide of all the herbs and supplements that I use to become naturally fibroid free. If you're interested in that, let me know. It does come with a free consultation from your girl. So I know it's a lot of info. Just personally, from the outside looking in, I know that if this was a new avenue and a new topic for me, I'd be really excited. But sometimes I know with some goddesses, it's a lot to take in when you're trying to navigate what you need to start with, per se, to heal, what you should implement first from the course in terms of whatever your lifestyle is. And also I have a lot of goddesses that I work with that are in all parts of the world, which amazes me daily, that I have goddesses in Africa and all over the world, Eastern Europe, and they don't have the same foods, same herbs and supplements. So with that course and with private coaching, we would work together to help you find alternatives that are relevant to you and that are available to you in your area that you have access to in order to set up your own natural fibroid elimination regimen. So if you're interested in the course, let me know. Of course, you can always book me for a 1 hour consultation, and we can talk about an aspect of that you may be dealing with of healing for fibroids. For example, some goddesses want to know specifically how to stop the heavy bleeding, which I have a great system for that. It's called Building a Better Period. And one of the goddesses who reached out to me actually for the course, she did just the Building a Better Period portion and immediately stopped heavy bleeding that she had been dealing with for years and had spent like thousands of dollars on at the hospital. She was heavily anemic, and she said that she watched one module of the course, implemented the instructions in the Building a Better Period module, and within like that same week, she said the period for once in like 6 years was normalized. So, you know, we could talk about that. Maybe you don't know about liver detoxing. Maybe you don't know how to properly cleanse your womb. You know, maybe you want to know about yoni steaming, or maybe you want to talk about womb reiki. I do a lot of different ways. I'm very flexible and available to help goddesses who are looking for guidance when we're talking about going down the natural fibroid elimination journey, because I know there's no one right way to go. When you start talking about natural anything, there's a multiple myriad of different ways to address this topic and other topics. So let me know. But I hope this was helpful to you. And if you have any questions and you want me to talk about something else, I will be back and I will do that. So you see now, if you put something in the comments, I'm liable to just hop on a live stream and answer your questions, and it could be within the hour in Isha J's case. So I just want to send you love and thank y'all for joining me. I really could do this like all day. Like, this is one of my passions now. I thought music was just one of my passions, you know, and creativity, but I learned also that I have a new passion. And I also learned it through my clients that I get. I'm always amazed at the response. And I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. Truly thank y'all for supporting me, for subscribing to the channel, and for expressing, you know, your sentiments. If you get anything that resonates from this channel, from me, I just want to thank you for letting me know, for commenting, and share it with another goddess who may have fibroids or may be experiencing infertility, because information is for all of us. Natural wellness and holistic practices and connecting to nature is for all of us. That's why this is here. So I want to make myself available to y'all in whatever way is relevant to you. All right? Well, I'm sending you peace. I'm sending you love and fibroid release. My name is Cecily, and I will talk to y'all on the next live. Have a beautiful Thursday. Thank you, Goddess.